we should be plugged in. Let me know if the audio is coming in clear, if you can hear me. It should sound good, actually. It shouldn't just be plugged in. It should sound good. Yeah. Oh, I got all kinds of... I'll show you guys this. I'm just gonna... Well, a couple people start wandering in. I'm very messy. I got all these dishes and crap in my room. But see the title of the video or whatever it is. What's up? I'm just gonna put this stuff on my bed for now. And yeah, cool. Because I'm a degent folks. I'm going to my little like nicotine stick thing here for the digital whatever. But we are mostly doing politics tonight. Doing politics. I told you guys I wasn't going to put Trump Epstein in the title of the video again, and I did. But really the main thing, I figured if anyone in chat has questions or comments about Trump Epstein, we can talk about it. But I wanted to cover some of the more extreme political views in the United States. And yeah, I'll show you. So I don't know if you guys can see, I set up my my Eric Clapton and my Thinking Man picture yesterday. It kind of closes the space a little bit. That always made me feel safe and comfortable. So what I want to be able to do is talk about some of the politicians that aren't always mentioned or that are always on the top of mind in news, namely like Rand Paul, Ron Paul, and AOC. Maybe we'll get to Zohran Mamdani, but yeah, kind of cover some of the stuff about what is libertarianism and all that stuff about. And yeah. Also, if anyone's tuning in, joining, who subscribed last night, where we had a pretty big stream for the channel, not that big of a deal, but welcome, hello. Mben Hadi, salam alaikum, alaikum salam, my friend. What's going on? Yeah, if you guys want to talk about pluralism, about digital political strategy and that stuff, I'm obviously not like a formal political strategist, but one of the useful things about sort of honing in on what people mean when they talk. Oh my God. Getting all these alerts, notifications, alarms, all of this stuff. Yeah, one of the sort of main points isn't to sort of pick apart every single news story, as my phone now goes on Do Not Disturb. But rather than picking apart news stories, it's to understand people's beliefs and opinions and stuff like that. Hey, Mehdi Freeman, I'm from the US. Yeah, I'm in the Southwest United States. Yep. So, and yeah, anyone here not from the US? Yeah, I was hoping with sort of the breadth of topics we'd cover that, yeah, I'll be talking about US politicians. Who cares? But if anyone wants to hang out, just stick around, kind of have a chill stream, that's cool too. And yeah, but yeah, we can talk about some of these fringe. Are they nut jobs? Are they lunatics? Who knows? And so just for the setup, I have a second smartphone. I have two smartphones. From France, cool. Mehdi Freeman from France, good to see you. Yeah, I know you're, and so one of the interesting things about getting into folks like Ron Paul, Rand Paul, AOC, Zohran Mamdani, maybe Bernie Sanders a little bit. People know about Bernie though, is that we've seen countries in Europe solving challenges in their political process and system. By, in some cases, either removing aspects of what people say is civil rights, or in other cases, being able to adopt more plural platforms and seeing that, well, okay, cool. When a deliberative pluralist process where more people are involved is creating the types of outcomes that people were looking for in the first place, then that's a good thing. Hey, what's up, Rob? Rob Banks 777 says Trump rocks. Cool. Let me know why, my friend. Do you think Trump is more or less conservative than like a libertarian? A libertarian. And yeah, so that's basically the format. I do have a little Chromebook here. I've got all kinds of electronic devices to sort of help us on the stream tonight. I actually lost my my first window I had open, but do you guys know some of the famous Hi, hey, what's going on? How are you doing? Dr. Burt says Trump is a hoe. Cool. Good to see you, Dr. Burt. I read something that said John Malkovich, a very famous, very sort of funny American actor, was a libertarian. And so, hey, what's up? What's up, my friends from Iran, or one friend from Iran? Good to see you. I'm from the Southwest U.S. I didn't vote because I had better things to do, like paying my bills from Skal Valhalla. Is that Michael Jordan? That is Michael Jordan. That's Michael Jordan. That's a thinking man. And just out of frame, that is Eric Clapton. Yeah, you look like Jesus. Black or white, tell me. Hey, what's up, Inda? Yeah, Jesus was not a libertarian, most likely, but we can talk about it. Another famous libertarian was Lewis Black. He was an American comedian. And so when we talk about extreme political views, Lewis Black stuff was sort of like leave me the hell alone. Like, I don't want to see government doing anything. I especially don't want you telling me when we have to go to war and bomb other places. And so Lewis Black would get on stage doing stand-up comedy and he would just flip out. He would just freak out. And so it's kind of funny seeing someone like Dave Smith, or Dave Smith was a comedian, is a comedian, kind of taking that mantle. We can talk more about that one a little bit. The other one, Tim Pool, a former journalist who's now big time libertarian in the online space. I wish all the race baiting would stop because it's so stupid. Yeah, I agree. And then what are your thoughts on Noam Chomsky? Yeah, linguistics is cool. I forgot. It's called like universal acquisition model or something, universal language model. Noam Chomsky was one of the first persons to offer a more formal theory of how, how language and language processing works. And language acquisition. He said that we all learn language the same way. We point at a thing and we say, I'm pointing at the thing, or my friend Dave, my friend Tom, Michael Jordan was pointing at the thing. And that's what the thing is. Hey, what's up, Dale Cooper? I don't know. You can take a guess. You can guess if you want. I don't know if that's one of those worth guessing things, but feel free. Feel free, my friend. Yeah. If bisexual doesn't mean like how you vote, but I'm bisexual to learn about libertarian politics and to learn about democratic socialist politics. That's what I'm bisexual for. I'm bisexual for winning, folks. We don't give a what. Yeah, and so when we're talking about the first sort of like class of what I would say are extreme politics, and we'll talk about why that is, the place this is coming from socially is, people like Burt Russell. It's people like Lewis Black that popularize it. Now it's like Tim Pool, who sits on his show all day and talks about libertarian stuff. And so this is important to sort of recognize or realize. Hey, what's up, Pejman? Is that, yeah, libertarianism, all these sort of fringe political beliefs are like typically pretty weak. And so you kind of have to wonder why. Like, I'm not saying you as a voter have to kind of take a step back and say, it's actually not the case that, it's not, if you're a voter, you can vote libertarian, you can vote Democrat, you can vote Green Party, you can vote socialist, you can write someone else in. You can write in whoever your favorite write-in candidate is. But it's also true that if you have like a libertarian Republican, it's like, well, why is this maybe, at most 10% of the US Congress? Why is this at most, like on a really crazy year, maybe 20% of the sort of Republican ballot and people that actually get elected? Whatever the actual number or statistic is, like really serious political strategists see those numbers and say, well, we can use these, this is where they're trending, and this might be why. And so just for a third or fourth reason for why we talk about when we're creating sort of that safe space, the, two walls to kind of corner us in, three walls, four walls sort of strategy, four walls sort of sense of understanding politics outside of the whatever you're trying to do. For libertarianism, I think some of that stuff is relevant. I have to, whoops, I'm gonna get just a little banging around on stuff, guys. Banging around on a ton of crap. The only problem that matters in government is putting people in wars that they don't have the guts to fight in. Yeah, good job. Definitely, that's a cool idea. That the Federalist Papers did talk about, pretty comprehensively what we sort of think of the United States. This is a very U.S. perspective. How often are we going to have to go to war? Who might we go to war with? When we're writing our Constitution, don't we have to consider something like that? And then so the sort of second thing on this as well, is, but yeah, when you consider sort of, who's one of those like purpose-driven guys, we always see those people, they have that sort of team leader almost like tattooed on their chest, it's written on their chest, and they understand why they want to enlist in the military or something. Like those types of guys as well, sort of same thing. We talked about in the Federalist sort of what the virtues of serving in the military is like. And so if I had to challenge you a little bit on this point, is that, well, it turns out humans have written about in political constitutions, maybe it's not the main point, but they have written about wars. And so, yeah, but that's a good sort of statement of like guys like Dave Smith have voiced that they're pacifists. I don't know in what sense Dave Smith is a pacifist. Yeah, I can spend all my time talking about my own personal morals and no one else's morals except my own. And that is actually what constitutes the universe. And so I'm a libertarian for this reason, is what, these people sound like to me. Pejman says, hey men, Julian Fries, no one's take on Gorbachev's statement about NATO expansion was suspect, but everything else he said was pretty spot on. You read a lot of his books. Whose kids get sent to die these days? Poor kids with no jobs in their town. Yep. Yeah, so that's definitely a huge political issue, is, both the people bring up for national security, who's more effective at running the Department of Defense, who's got the right people in place. But yeah, I was going to bring up, some of these libertarian politicians to talk about issues like gay marriage or, inclusion, or not having rules prohibiting gay or trans identities in the military. That's another one. You could talk about gay marriage for sure. You could talk about state and federal politics, and yeah. But in the U.S., some of these people got, they were pretty nasty for a while, right? Not like Donald Trump was nasty, in the sense that Donald Trump, when he was campaigning and running for office, and I'm going to pull up some stuff in a second here, but DJT, when he was running for office, he said just like really mean, nasty things, and he assumed that he could just go in the executive office without much of a coalition. And so his plan was saying, well, if Republicans are unified and they all stand behind MAGA and, Donald J. Trump, even if they don't agree in the 2016 election, even if I have one of the worst presidencies in history, and if I want to follow it up similarly, but now I'll have a team, This is a little different when we talk about guys like Ron Paul and the sort of situation that he sees himself wandering out into, and kind of perhaps his role in the overall society, right? Is Ron Paul versus Donald Trump? Is Ron Paul like a baby bird? Like, I'm just gonna wait for people in Kentucky. I'm gonna wait for libertarians in Kentucky and around the country to really sort of generate some tension. Um, but that matters. That matters, right? Because the kinetic motion of politics, the actual praxis and practical sort of way of applying political thinking, the practical way of applying political thinking is that, well, if Ron Paul is, kind of a mouthpiece and he's talking about policy in a certain way, this is really different than someone like Elizabeth Warren, or Bernie Sanders, whoever it was. These people that are very public, Nancy Pelosi, very well respected, that are taking on sort of mainstream political issues. Hey, what's up, Lloyd? Some of your guys' messages aren't coming through on mobile, but I got them here. So Lloyd, what's up? Good to see you. Pejman says as well, do you agree one of the biggest empires collapsing, getting access to easy money? And in the case of the US after information, this is much after the 1960s. So if we're talking about wealth and prosperity, some of these fringe, and Dan's here. What's up? Don Prager's here. What's up, everybody? I don't got any of these messages on the phone, but I see you here. Pagan Prince, well, we meet again. What's up? How's it going, everybody? Yeah, my take on wealth and stuff like this. Wealth and Ron Paul, Rand Paul, some of these strict libertarians might say something like, well, the information, the actual feedback we get from market and society doesn't matter if we have too much government involvement, right? We're not talking about geopolitics. We're talking about comparative politics, which, in political strategy, which means we're talking about individuals and political parties and interest groups. All of this stuff becomes more relevant. And that's part of why we see such interesting characters as well, because using the same analogy as before of where someone like Ron Paul, he sees himself, if Ron Paul or Rand Paul, either one is operating from this position that they're stepping out of a bear cave or something. They're stepping out of a bear cave, or people are coming to visit, their tribal sweat lodge or whatever it is. They're ultimately able to create bigger personalities, create sort of more nuanced, complex platforms. Maybe they're horrible and you disagree with them. Hey, what's up, Robert Howard? Yeah, Nancy Pelosi. Yeah, how long has Nancy Pelosi actually served? We'll take a short detour because I see someone's curious now about Nancy Pelosi and her record. So she's 85 years old. She's 85. I apologize, Speaker Pelosi, for reminding you again. But yeah, and your subjective opinion about how, again, I would just say how you feel about Nancy Pelosi doesn't in general sort of summarize Nancy Pelosi's position. How you feel about Rand Paul doesn't encapsulate how everyone feels about Rand Paul. I don't even think you would suggest that. I don't, whoever that was again. Sorry, let me pull that back up. Robert Howard, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I don't think that you would even suggest that that Nancy Pelosi and Rand Paul have different rules for how respected or known they are. Get off my stream. No, I'm just kidding. If you got a comeback or a clapback, or you can put me where you are and show me your vantage point where I universally say I don't need to learn about Nancy Pelosi because she sucks, I'd be happy to learn about that. And her name is beautiful. It's Nancy Patricia Pelosi D'Alessandro. You're not going to elect a beautiful, strong, intelligent Italian woman who's both fierce and understanding. You don't want to hear what that woman has to say? That's Nancy Pelosi, folks. And so she's been doing public office since 1981. 1981, folks. So you just said someone who's been in politics for 37 years isn't respected. Hey, what's up, Basanta K? What do I think about the Battle of Teutoburg Forest? I don't know about that. I don't know what the Battle of Teutoburg Forest. If you have a story you want to tell me or anyone, feel free. Feel free, folks. Pick me up, everybody. And if you guys want to hit like and subscribe, it's really helpful. I'm going to launch a poll right now, or yeah, something. And if anybody's here just getting off work in the US, what's up? It's good to see you. Just getting a poll up. If you guys see that, blop, blah, 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 what's going on? Yeah. Yeah, and so I do think that people like Rand Paul are fundamentally a little bit different than a little bit different than, oh cool, I see some familiar faces now. Yeah, a little bit different than Nancy Pelosi, because Rand Paul has to win the state of Kentucky over in an election or something like that. You know, he has to convince them that he is Republican enough to do this, that he's not too libertarian, too leave me alone, you know, Uncle Sam. Nancy Pelosi is often expected to stand behind an entire national platform. She doesn't have to respond to it. She doesn't have to really, like, truly do anything except fight for it. That's a very simplified view, but it's also somewhat accurate. And so, yeah, you know, people like Pelosi, she might say something that sounds extreme to people, and they now say, "I lost my respect for you." And yeah, I would put like Lindsey Graham on the side of the Republicans, even though I think he's been too willing to represent these whack job positions for real politique, for real competition in the political system. All scary things, guys. What's up, Sizzle Moon Song? It's good to see you again. Cool. I'm apparently going to be learning, or supposed to learn. Somebody knows about Roman history and ancient Germanic tribes. So that whole that one time the Roman Empire expanded deeply into Europe. You know, we had envoys and emissaries in Britain, our people. What up, Ducks Unlimited? What up, Big Street Cat? Hope y'all are doing good. I hope everything's in the cabinet, my friend. I hope you're not stressing, you're not lacking, but I hope it's locked up, baby. Let's go. Have I ever tried, T asks if I've ever tried grilled horse knees. Nope, I have not. I haven't. Hey, what you doing? Hey, how you doing? What's up, Kimberly Dale? Are you a Friends fan? Hope you're doing well. Edits says Messi or Ronaldo. Maybe not that much football. Maybe not that much football. Yeah. Yeah, Pejman says he sounded like a socialist when he said this. But yeah, getting addicted is to easy money and financializing after 60 seconds, even not in geopolitics. And in the case of no liberalism and economic ideas. So that sounds like you're suggesting people kind of strip and remove the political context from the political issue itself, which is easy money and stuff like that. Yeah, and so, maybe this will come up later or whatever. Maybe this will come up later, but when we paint a picture or kind of record the video of what this is like, when we show the video of this, it's like, yeah, you wake up, I have 2 desk lamps on in front of me. I'm using 3 electronic devices to kind of monitor the stream. It's very stupid. It's very stupid. It's very useful, but it's very stupid. And so when it's so easy to buy things and use energy, and then it's also easy to use that energy to go out and make money, and then we socially define that. Then we say, if we are like Slavoj Zizek, and we say, well, we have to dig into how did this become to be this way, and who are the people, who are the men who changed this paradigm and the cultural hegemony from what it was before? Who are the people who changed it so you could turn a lamp on and make $1 million? Who made it that easy? And yeah, that seems like, it seems to me that's pretty far outside of what a lot of these politicians are talking about. I think it's very optimistic and idealistic, not in a bad sense. It's almost utopian. It's almost utopian a little bit, right? But, oh, we chillin', Sizzle Moon Song. I had a big ass peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Yeah. Congratulations on the size of your carbon footprint. We'll talk about that one day. I think so. I want to be able to talk about that kind of stuff, but who knows, folks? I'm just trying to be able to sit in front of my 3 screens, my old used cell phone, my $50 Chromebook, and these are still 3 electronic devices. You save money, but it doesn't get better. It's still a carbon footprint. It's still a total piece of shit, right? This phone's got a broken microphone. The battery lasts. It works. It works. It's what some people would say. Some people would say the battery's broken. I say it works, but works for stuff like this. No microphone. The camera's not recording how it should, but it's got internet, so. Yeah. So we finally get to the most extreme US politician, one of the most extreme. He's a libertarian. And that basically means keep the government out of as much as possible. What's up, Jake? We're talking about extreme political parties. And candidates, politicians, extreme in sort of like a social media sense. We're just talking about people on sort of the outer poles or the fringes, what they say, how they say it, how they got there. How did you get to where you are, Rand Paul? Well, I'll tell you. My brother in Kentucky picked me up with a horse and cart, carried me on over, dropped me off, still in Kentucky. Some people say I leave the state. I'm still in Kentucky. That's my Rand Paul libertarian impression. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. I'd hope a couple people would think it was interesting. Yeah, I put Trump and Epstein to try and get more people here, and I figured some people would drop off, but Google brought us Jake, so. So yeah, extreme in the social media sense, that's a paradox. Yeah, a little bit. Counterfactuals. Most of the live stream stuff is very brain dead. Yeah, nothing wrong with brain dead if you're Rand Paul, but Rand Paul was a doctor. His dad, Ron Paul, was also a medical doctor. They're both medical doctors. So Rand Paul is an ophthalmologist. This is where he came from. Rand Paul was an ophthalmologist from Bowling Green, and his dad was a obstetrician and gynecologist, whatever. So they're both medical doctors. And Rand Paul they were both in the Senate. They're both in the Senate, so they're both federal senators as well. And I wanted to kind of show you this picture. This is what we were talking about in terms of very briefly, just like the psychology of someone who is running as and representing what is a more extreme or fringe political belief. Let's see if I can find the picture. It was right here, I think. What the hell? Here it is. I don't know if you guys can see that picture. That's Ron and Rand Paul. That's the son and the father. There's no Holy Ghost. It's just the father and son. But some people might say that's a little smug looking. This looks a little smug, and this is maybe my subjective opinion. It's really just Duck's opinion. But yeah, this looks like he's saying, well, oh, me and my pops, there you go. Have your close up, baby. There's my dad talking, and me and my dad can figure this stuff out together. We got a microphone, we have a campaign sign, so let's just really figure out the best way to say this for our country. Let's just figure it out. And so trying to understand where like someone who calls themselves a constitutional conservative is most often described as a libertarian. He's one of the first people to oppose Donald Trump from the Republican side, or to speak words against him as he can, or as he should, or as he has to. And maybe one of the reasons these weird sort of fringe parties a little bit look like they're just like, like, whoa, bro, nar to the nar. We're narring right now, guys. We're just doing all the nar stuff we can. It's because they have this freedom to say we can solve all these problems ourselves. We're so smart. We're medical doctors. We're not only medical doctors, but I deeply understand when we hear about like deferred compensation plans and investing in the community, investing in businesses. I went through all that. I knew what it takes. I know the stress. I know the added stress and time it takes when there's taxation. I know the added stress and time it takes when there's taxation. I know how scared I get when I've been working 60 hours a week as a doctor, volunteering on different community boards. And my community comes to me with the same problem, like, well, I hear from George Bush or Barack Obama we're going to stay in war. What? And so this is like, closer to Dave Smith, I think, than Tim Pool. But you do have this almost like cult of personality or megalomaniac, this like very extreme, almost this id weird description of these people who are sitting up there one more time saying, well, look, maybe this is a little smug, but I can solve this. We can solve it. Yeah, Chuck makes a good point. Some libertarians, some self-proclaimed libertarians don't fully understand the label. I think that's probably accurate. Yeah. I haven't heard of the book, Pejman. Yeah, don't sound so incredulous, Sean. Smug politicians. No, I really respect guys like Rand Paul and Ron Paul in some situations. I think when they can do their job well, it's a good thing for our country. But yeah, Ron Paul was one of the people who supported gay marriage. Ron Paul was one of the people who supported getting rid of Don't Ask, Don't Tell, or at least keeping it out of the political space, maybe so that it just gets done. Rand Paul has some people have accused him of being aligned with like biblical, evangelical, Christian republicanism or Christian nationalism, that he's, the rolling tide has gotten him to. And so if we're understanding the massive movements and pushes that we perceive in the last couple years going towards Christian nationalism in the United States, it's at least this like yeah it's difficult to ignore because it's like Chuck said sort of like some people don't understand the platform entirely. Well, who are they? What zip code do they live in? Like, what zip code do they live in? How much money do they make? How much money do they give to politicians and Coca-Cola? Um, you know, who have they voted for in the last 3 or 4 years, and why? Why? Um, what are they most actively searching on the internet? What do they know now? What do they know now? But putting a little bit of that together, this is almost like saying, well, people that normally support gay marriage or normally support a social safety net, they're just saying, oh boy, I don't see how we're going to pull this off this year. I don't see how we're going to pull it off this year. And who knows, maybe we messed up. We goofed. We were so powerful with this stuff, even if we don't see it. So poo-poo on them, poo-poo to them. Yeah, very cool. Sean says they got women's health and optometry included in the ACA. Yeah, very cool. Yeah, I saw Rand Paul did some community work. He worked on some like private charities that sought to sort of close the gap in funding for people who needed eye surgery. That's very cool allyship, and one of these sort of understandable olive branches. But he's also said some crazy stuff. Yeah, he said some crazy stuff too. So let me find one of the things that he said. And this is outside of his like foreign relations stuff. It's outside of his foreign relations, other Homeland Security Service, that kind of stuff. So he was a supporter of the Tea Party movement. This is Rand Paul, supporter of the Tea Party movement. He described himself as a constitutional conservative. What the flying hell is a constitutional conservative? What does it mean? Do you guys, so my friends who are most far on the left would say, well, constitutional conservative means you're a Christian bigot. That's what that actually means, is that you don't want the Supreme Court. And these are my friends, right? These are my friends. We don't always agree on everything, but they'll say, well, you don't want the Supreme Court to intervene to protect good laws. You want to see in the House, you want to see aggressive action in the House and Senate to cut funding to social programs and to cut funding to everything except things which fall into your worldview. But that's not actually what a constitutional conservative technically means by the book. So be careful while you're picking stuff up, putting it down, all this other crap. Just be careful. Flip-Adinko, the famous strongman of US political lore. He was born with an atlas stone in his hand, good at flipping, good at picking up. Flip-Adinko would tell you that, yeah, who knows, maybe Rand Paul is a constitutional conservative. Who's he going for? Who's he going to talk to? What the heck? Can you guys still hear me? Can you guys hear me? Am I freaking out for no reason? Hey, Night Owl, what's up? Okay, sorry. Yeah, good to see you again, Night Owl. Night Owl was chilling yesterday. Good to see you again. Whatever. Um, Stream is okay. Cool. Thank you. Yeah, cool. Cool. So, and so during his first Senate campaign, or as time goes on, he supported term limits, a balanced budget amendment. So he has wanted to limit the spending power of the federal government, and a read the bills act, which basically I think tests. I forgot how it works, but it offers tests, and it shows that senators have to read the legislation before they sign it and pass it, which seems to make sense. This is one of those common arguments that you can't actually do, omnibus, rider sort of legislations. It should be more difficult to work across the aisles, or it should force it really is strategic and competitive, right? This is what a libertarian wants to achieve: is less government spending, less taxation. They want people accountable financially when they serve in politics, in addition to being accountable for constitutional principles. So both, lots of accountability. And so, this is one of those harmless things where it says, yeah, we should have a Read the Bills Act and a balanced budget amendment. And if you're Nancy Pelosi, if you're Bernie, Nancy Pelosi, or AOC, and you hear the bass come in, folks, have you guys heard the bass come in? You sort of start seeing that, well, what you're actually asking for is for the Congress to just stop working. You don't actually want Congress to work how it's supposed to. Hey, what's up, Detroit Lions lover? Good to see you, my friend. I hope you're doing well. I'm from Chicago, or my family is all from Chicago, so I was a big Megatron fan, and hold on. I'm just going to mute you for 10 seconds if you want to stop spamming. Thank you. And that's easier because it deletes the messages, because some people, Tennyson said hi. What's up, Tennyson? Yeah, Unomi, good to see you. He, she, they, whoever you are. Hi, Unomi. Says anarchists, or at least you do you. Libertarians are like anarchists, except they want everyone to follow their norms. Yeah. So that was my point with the balanced budget and Read the Bills Act, is if you say, well, we're going to start testing you, and we're going to say that you only have authority to do this if you do it the way that we want you to do it. That's basically just saying, well, we want to pass a constitutional amendment to make you think like a libertarian. It's competitive. And I'm sure someone as smart as Rand Paul, someone as savvy as him, knows that's pretty funny. Like, that's kind of one of those jokes. Yeah, freaking out for no reason is a libertarian prerequisite. I wish Detroit Lions would have stayed. I know he spammed the hell out of chat. But yeah, Unomi says, hey, whatever. Hey. It's also irresponsible. See above. Halam shalom. Alaikum salam. I don't know how to say that back. Good to see you, Vic. Hope you're doing well. And so this is the other one. Rand Paul probably has this really, really ambitious idea, and he's kind of, I would imagine, like, one character that Rand Paul has as a libertarian is this guy who just kind of sits back and peeks his head out of the cave. He can look around and he can say, oh, I know my surroundings. I'm in the open field now. Now I can run. But right here, I'm just kind of slowly making sure my mind and my eyes are tuned to what the libertarians from Portland to Florida and all the way up the North Coast and all the way south, what all these freaking people are telling me about taxation. And so he says, let's do a flat tax of 14.5%. If you read my comment, it's a long one about the book. Let me see if I can find this one. No, whoops. There's a Discord link, I'll say, for Patchman, for if you guys are saying, yeah, if you guys want to have conversations and stuff too. I didn't see the message. I don't know, it got lost in the spam. But there's a Discord link. If anyone wants to join that, it's in the description. There's like no one there, right? This is a very small channel, but if anyone wants to join Discord, I'll mention that's there. The Discord has a safe space for millennials. The Discord also has, just like the normal major tags like philosophy, geopolitics, general chat, whatever people want to do, social chat. Looks good, Pagan Prince. The blue and the wrench suits you, my friend. You're gonna do wonderful. And then, yeah, the second thing then is that we also have a little space for content creators or career professionals. It's meant for everyone. And so, yeah, it might not stay that way, but that is what our Discord is like right now. It's not a libertarian or social democrat or any of that kind of stuff. Is Vic? I wonder if Vic in real life is Penn Jillette. That's one of the most famous libertarians. Penn Jillette is an atheist guy. There's a lot of atheist libertarians, as it turns out. I think wasn't for a while Bill Maher a libertarian. Maybe I'm making that one up, but yeah, before Dave Smith said, I got this, guys. I got this for all of us. But Penn Jillette is an atheist, famous skeptic as well. Very famous skeptic. Yeah, we were talking about flat tax. Not that big of a deal. Some people want to debate the merits of a flat tax. I think a political strategist would say, well, in what world and in what sense and with what voters is it viable enough for long enough that you can actually pass something like this? Like maybe I tell you, I tell Charlie Kirk in Turning Point, like, let's go support this flat tax. Stop dicking around on social media. Let's go do actual politics, you guys. Let's go do actual politics. And so once he's supposed to go support this flat tax, it's like, okay, maybe they fund ads, they hire a commercial director. They do a special fundraising campaign to gauge temperature, and they do all these things, and they push this out. And just on digital channels alone, they get feedback that 50,000 people you didn't even know existed are now interested in talking about a flat tax rate. Well, when those people go out and actually learn kind of how stupid of an idea that is, well, was that the right thing to push for in the first place? Can you remove that from American politics in the first place? The reasons and the intuitions and the sort of concept behind a flat tax might be reasonable. It's worth considering. The practicalities of a flat tax might be so stupid, and that is why there's no Republicans or Democrats that even talk about a 28% flat tax or a 22% flat tax. Everybody's at 22%. Billionaires, every last penny you make, every penny of cash you take out is 22% taxes. Maybe you need to have that line of thinking, and the number is 14.5% for whatever reason. Probably a very precise reason, I would say, is how I would start describing that. Very precise reason. So, Unami is talking about AI. Yeah, I think companies like OpenAI, not in a very US centric sense, sort of in a US centric sense, haven't even started uh, on what I'll describe as their portion of the task of modernizing compute centers, data centers, customer experiences, business experiences using AI. There's not a global identity for AI. It's still a very much tech driven and like surface level consumer driven tech. Some people might say it's more, but it is not. It isn't. Nobody knows what to do, and I'm terrified. Okay. Nobody knows what to do, and I'm terrified. So AI is very interesting. We can get Elon Musk to talk to us about AI. Maybe Elon Musk will adopt a 14.5% flat tax and talk about AI, because they're both really stupid things to do. Sorry, some of you guys are allowed to disagree with me a lot too, by the way. It's actually cool to have smart disagreement or tiny little disagreement, different opinions, that kind of stuff. Instead of having MAGA voters come in and tell me Donald Trump is the best or Donald Trump is a PDF file, he is an abuser. Instead of having that, yeah. So, Rand Paul also has been on InfoWars. So for any fans of Alex Jones, any fans of conspiracy theories, any fans of Discovery Channel, this is when I think America was great. If I was running, I said yesterday I said my political campaign was going to be MAVA. I'll put it in chat. Make America vegan again. So this is going to be my political platform when I run for office. What I'm going to say is, hey, who knows? Maybe I have a maybe I have a criminal record. Your buddy Duck's got 6 DUIs and he got locked up for stealing 3 automobiles when he was younger. Got his GED, finished community college, whatever it is actually. And now I want to make America vegan again. I am once again asking for your support. Plant. Yeah. Peter Thiel for sure. No, Founders Fund is the name of his. Maybe Planters Fund. Founders Fund is a very notable, very famous venture capital investing firm. Founders Fund, very beautiful website as well. Very beautiful thesis, Founders Fund. I'll post it in the Discord. Alexander Brown is back from last night with the wrench. What's up, Alex? Good to see you. Good to see you, dude. Yeah. Vic should join the Discord, but insect protein. I wouldn't think insect protein is vegan. I don't know if it's more ethical or less ethical than plant matter, but that was also not the point. You're broke. Yeah. So, so here's one lesson is that, like a libertarian like Rand Paul might have seen himself doing his democratic duty because what he saw was that the truth of the matter was that his voters, his constituents, and people like his voters in Kentucky who would want his voice on federal issues, which were for everyone. There's not a sharp edge with it, but like he saw these people going to InfoWars, talking to Alex Jones. He saw things like, well, if there are conservative think tanks that are rating politicians, I should always be near the top of the list. There's people that are going to think I'm crazy. There's going to be people that see a high score from these impartial groups or sort of partisan like very loose ideology or national sort of style of scoring. Maybe they're a little worse, but they're going to see this and they're going to say, this guy doesn't play ball with the Republican Party, and that's why he's always doing so well. This is a guy who goes to talk shows. This is a guy who brings the fight to them. And this is a guy who's more than happy to come back to his shell. This is a great guy for Kentucky because you need to split, when you have Christian nationalists in a place like Kentucky, and you also have secular atheists all voting. You want both of those people to be able to center around something on national politics. The other way around. You want these people to toil and go around, clean your room, the stupid Jordan Peterson thing, but eventually you want people that can reach out and say, well, guys, we failed a healthcare vote. If you're a libertarian, we failed a healthcare vote, 3 times. We failed to pass this bill 3 times. I don't care about highways. I don't care about infrastructure. The national interest is libertarianism. It's keeping the government out and holding politicians accountable financially as well as socially and constitutionally, period. And so as a result, responding to an argument sort of like this, whatever, Duck's way of saying it, my way of saying it, you have Alex Jones, you have InfoWars, and then you have an ophthalmologist from Kentucky whose dad was a U.S. senator and OBGYN for 30 years, and then both of them were doctors for 30 years or 20 years and then got elected to politics. And you go on Alex Jones when you're done. Yeah, and I don't know how this compares. Yeah, so he was the second lowest aligning with Trump. He's only sided with Trump 70% of the time, so it appears accidental and incidental. Accidental and incidental. Hey, that's cool. I was a vegetarian and pesco-vegetarian. My dad calls me a veggie. I'm like, okay, boomer. I don't say boomer because I'm a millennial, but I'm like, Dad, that's not the word. I'm a vegan or vegetarian. You can say either, and I know what you mean, but a veggie isn't one of those 3 things. Love you, Dad. In case my dad's watching, I don't know if he knows that I have a YouTube channel, but whip up that shrimp, some jumbo shrimp, baby. How's my cheek sound? My jumbo shrimp, baby doll. Yeah, you may also have, I don't know if Thomas Sowell considers himself, Thomas Sowell. I didn't mean to be talking about jumbo shrimp and then bring up Thomas Sowell. But, while we're out here, while we are ready to be out here, I know he's at the Hoover Institute. If you guys, so that's an interesting channel. If you guys want more information on, hey, what's up, Mo? Good to see you again. Good to see you. I'll talk about that in a second, or you can join the Discord, Mo. I don't know if you're indirectly plugging that. There's in the description. We do have a career section. I talk a little bit in there, trying to just share stuff from when I was like working jobs. Right now, this is kind of what I'm doing. I don't really have a set goal timeline for it. But yeah, Hoover Institute. The Hoover Institution has an interesting YouTube channel. It's kind of mind-numbing in some ways. I don't think libertarianism is like that complicated or beautiful of an idea personally. I could be convinced to say it otherwise. Yeah, Thomas Sowell is conservative, black conservative. I don't know. Yeah, we see names like Hayek. So Hayek is definitely sort of tending towards policies which would be more libertarian. John Maynard Keynes. So, I know Thomas Sowell could probably argue and debate probably pretty well, as good as anyone else, right? As good or better than anyone else, as good as anyone else. Why we invest in supply side stuff ever, or demand side stuff. Yeah, I hope you guys are all doing good. If anyone wants to like and subscribe, I'm supposed to plug the channel while I'm on stream, but I don't really care. We're just doing whatever. You guys are having fun. I'm happy. I'm having fun. Having fun. Yeah, so here's Thomas Sowell. It says, Sowell is the author of more than 45 books. Very famous. He's a black dude, I guess, but he's a black dude. He was formerly a sort of a Marxist socialist on the left after he got out of the military. And then he ended up going on and getting very prestigious graduate degrees from the best schools in the country after this. And he said he changed his mind at some point in time. So he's written on topics like critical race theory, and basically his argument is that, yeah, well, as it turns out, the actual laws around economics and sort of this liberal, like some aspect of liberal with a civic identity, and make some of this stuff pretty important. I believe this stuff is kind of what makes the country tick, and it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter whose womb you crawled out of. That is the law of nature. These are as good. These are about as good as the laws of physics as far as some people are concerned. And so talk about that and reason about that. And if you disagree, well, you're going to have a hard time justifying thinking that way forever. At some point in time, you'll have to come around to it. And so this says that he's been syndicated on a variety of subjects, including politics, economics, education, and race, in more than 150 newspapers. His views are described as conservative, libertarian, especially on economics, or libertarian conservative. He has said that he may be best labeled as libertarian, though he disagrees with the libertarian movement on some issues such as national defense. So big iceberg. It's very interesting. That's one of those things that Rand Paul might also have a little different than some of the other Democrats and Republicans. Rand Paul might say, so what Rand Paul might actually care about and say is that, like, well, if I'm a libertarian, I would say, these Republicans, they basically, they take whatever their local pastor said. They're going to go talk to the Better Business Bureau. They're going to talk to all these hacks who want to play big shot, want to be in politics. They have issues they care about, and they're willing to roll up their elbows and put in a little work for it. And then you get to this issue of national defense, and they look towards the center of the party for guidance. And he'll say, congrats, you're now a Democrat or a Republican. I'm a libertarian. Maybe this is not doing full due justice, but if we're speaking politically, if we're speaking rhetorically, as well as we're trying to speak in good faith while being transparent that this is rhetoric, Rand Paul might not be totally wrong. How many Democrats and Republicans have really dug into and done their own research on the economy as well as national defense, on issues such as policing or public housing or healthcare? And they've done their own research. They don't just know what their constituents want, but they know what their constituents should be asking about in 5 or 10 years. And so Rand Paul, at least for his part, Rand Paul for his small part of whatever this is, this stupid whatever he might encourage us to say something like, well, national defense is really important. We have to be really mindful of our spending. We have to be really mindful about encouraging people to think about civic service and stuff like this. And the reason this is because when the country works and the government stays out of people's lives, the whole vision, my sweat lodge trip is coming together. The government's out of people's lives, and what we actually have in front of us is, we're still living in the same world. We're still the United States. We're still a very wealthy country. Don't say that, right? Don't lie to people and say because the United States is wealthy, we get targeted. Don't say that because the United States has, protected the world from fascism for years. Don't do that. Don't say that stuff. But when the government stays out of people's lives, and Thomas Sowell is right, and Lewis Black is right, and by God, Tim Pool, Dave Smith, these folks are all right. They're all right, lads. Rand Paul might say that you still have a national security issue. Have you dealt with this? Have you dealt with this? Have you managed this issue into your term, Mr. President? Have you managed this issue before you came to office? Did you build the right alliances and coalitions to be an effective leader on national security so we don't have to worry about you then lying and spending taxpayer dollars about this stuff? Let me also hold you a little bit, 10 to 90% accountable based on finances and not just my voters. We're going to look at the dollars and cents. I bring this back to my people. And if I'm an elected representative, I can even tell you what the numbers say. You're going to think about it for yourself. I know that already, but I'll bring you the numbers. Yeah, Unomi. I'm not a libertarian. It's interesting to understand sort of just the total ecology or layout from my perspective. Whoa. Whoa, we did a quick backspin. Pagan Prince, Niccolo Machiavelli. You guys want to talk about, off the top of my head, we can talk about fortune, the role of fortune, the role of leaders understanding what's sort of within their control. The weird, Machiavelli has almost this dualist metaphysics, which is very fascinating. Yeah, so, and this was a very progressive idea. Sometimes people read The Prince and they'll just say, well, this guy, all he's doing is he's giving advice either falsely or truly to the guy who's got all the people with swords and collects taxes. That's who Niccolo Machiavelli's Prince is. And I'm reading from Pagan Prince's comment here. Reading from Pagan Prince's comment. And this wasn't actually true. It wasn't actually true. In the past, when there were publicly available books about politics, you had a greater appeal to almost the mysteriousness of leaders. And Machiavelli seems to assume that leaders have the same metaphysics as anyone else. A lot of this is based on reason, cunning, our ability to kind of read the tea leaves and also read what's not in the tea leaves to some extent. Pack Fresh, what's up? Good to see you. Pack Fresh in chat. Yeah, direct democracy. Unami knows what's up. All y'all know what's up, actually. I don't actually know what's up. But no, so this is Niccolo Machiavelli's sort of big idea is that, when my opinion, and this is maybe me reading too far into texts of that period and slightly after, is he's almost saying that, we have to put the laws of nature and the universe directly into what leadership is. If you read old Plato and the Republic, and you say, well, this is, you can read Nicomachean Ethics, you can read the Republic. I'm sure there's obviously a lot that happened in the, whatever it is, 1600 years, 1500 years, whatever it was between the two, however many years it was supposed to be. But then you have the Prince and Niccolo Machiavelli, and when the universe gives someone bad luck, it doesn't just give them bad luck, but it specifically gives them bad luck, which is almost responsive to the choices that they made. Like the actual, not the thing itself that's clashing, colliding, it's creating an accident or a collision, it's interacting, but you have fortune, you have bad luck, you didn't know something you couldn't just know, and you still made your decision, right? So your decision is still operating in this sort of whirlwind of possibilities where you get your head cut off. So is it better to be feared or respected? That's also a great question. If you're Machiavelli, both, but the reason it would be both is you're removing chance. You're removing chance from it to some extent. You're removing chance and not with hubris. You're almost responding to like a game theoretic, practical version of reality. That's yeah. Let's see. So, since love and fear can hardly exist together, then we must choose between them. It is safer to be feared than loved. It is safer to be feared than loved. Yeah, and this was also written on the Italian peninsula. So this was in city-states. So this was, whatever. Italy was a very isolated place, even for the geopolitics of the time. So the Spanish Empire, the French Empire, like whoever the heck it was, whoever it was, you have all this stuff that's happening. But from about the year, sometime in the early 12th, 13th century, 12 something to at least like pretty close to the year 1600, which is really butting up into like when like America's story starts, right? That's my sort of gauge of timelines and things like that. My gauge of stuff for that or whatever. But yeah. So you have Italian city-states, and so Niccolo Machiavelli is saying that, look, when you can conduct diplomacy, when you don't have to worry as much about outside forces or internal forces bringing outside forces in, you are resolving a major, like, who knows? I don't want to do bad faith towards his philosophy, but he was also writing a very practical book. And so I think you're supposed to, if you're being like really manly, you're supposed to say stuff like that. You're supposed to be willing to say that Machiavelli was specifically writing to keep out marauders. Yeah, he who wishes to be obeyed must know how to command. Bunch of bullshit. Never was anything great achieved without danger. It is necessary that the prince should know how to color his nature well and how to be a hypocrite and dissembler. So deconstruct things, or be the active, be the leader or passive, be the person going forward slightly and stuff like that. That is deconstructing. You're deconstructing something now, I think. I don't know. That's whatever you see. This is biblical. Yeah. This is like Tom Cruise stuff, guys. Thanks to everybody who's using chat right now and stuff too. If anybody in the audience, I see we got about not quite 20 people, but if anybody wants to say what's up in chat, good to see you. I'm Duck. No stress though. My real name is my fake real name is Nathan Swift. I go by Duck online on Discord, and I moderate a couple YouTube channels. This is my own little. It's called Duck's Y. So hello. If you want to like the video, if you're enjoying the video, cool. If you want to come back and you don't really like the video, feel free to subscribe. It'll be good to see you again. But yeah. So that's kind of what I wanted to cover with the libertarian stuff, at least. The libertarian stuff wasn't as much about like Rand Paul as this Machiavellian leader entirely, but to some extent, a word you'll hear more commonly, and so trust this word, right? If you guys are watching, trust this word. The word I would recommend you trust is that Rand Paul has more freedom. Rand Paul has more freedom than other people. It's not personal freedom. It's not economic freedom. It's just he's free of electoral reciprocity. He's free of having the people that elected Rand Paul and his political backers, people that are in his corner and cheering for him, knew that he was a libertarian before they helped him in the first place. He's not surprising anyone being a libertarian. Even when he says crazy things like the laws around gay marriage couldn't get any gayer, I believe that is a Rand Paul quote. So even when he says something like that, and boy, did he mean it, this time he really meant it. But yeah, even when he says something like gay marriage couldn't get any gayer, you still have Rand Paul. People are like, yeah, okay, you know, whatever. You're a libertarian. You're allowed to say that. You're allowed to say that because you're still talking about the flat tax rate. What the hell is actually Rand Paul going to do? His dad said that we should support. So Ron Paul, Ron Paul was probably a little more steadfast in his libertarianism than Rand Paul. Rand Paul has lived and existed in a time, even though he is the second most disloyal Republican to Donald Trump. Let's see who the first is. I should probably know this. Republican who has worst Trump voting record. So in 2015, Donald Trump was saying Marco Rubio has the worst voting record there is today. I don't even know how to search this question, but whatever. Understanding politics, stances, and decisions on leadership levels. Niccolo Machiavelli is a great benchmark, even if it's Italy in the past as well. China will figure that out soon. History rhymes, not repeats. Yeah, that's very cool. Yeah, that could be true. That could be true. I suppose so. That's very charitable of you, Mr. Pagan Prince. Very charitable. It's getting sticky. It's getting sticky. It's getting sticky. But yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, Ron Paul wasn't on a mission from God to prevent gay marriage. I don't think Ron Paul would have ever said he was. He was in Texas. Everything's bigger in Texas. But Ron Paul, who knows? Maybe he wasn't the friendliest guy to the LGBTQ community. Maybe he wasn't. But my friends, he did oppose the Patriot Act significantly. And I believe I don't know where it is. I'm not actually, I looked it up earlier, but I think he said something like, yeah, you know, the government has this duty to support free associations. So, you know, he's not going to stand in the way of gay marriage or anything like that because, cool, congrats, you guys decided to do it this way. Get the government out of marriage. But if you guys aren't talking about that, cool. All right, guys. All right, go on and, you know, yeah. You know, maybe Ron Paul wouldn't recommend buying cha-chas for the first gay wedding or something. You know, he would say, you know, save the feather boas for the photo booth at the reception or something. Not that it has to be like that, but it doesn't have to be like that. But, you know, and he also, Ron Paul was also, you know, against, for Don't Ask, Don't Tell. He said, yeah, we shouldn't be making federal laws. We shouldn't have federal laws about who can be gay in the military. These should be chain of command decisions. So, you know, are these people that stupid? Like, are you guys really that stupid that you could theoretically go through basic training, you could theoretically get deployed, you could theoretically be part in that chain of command structure, and of all of you morons who are serving the military, you cannot find a justification or a way to achieve equality or parity or inclusion in the United States military. You really can't find that. So what? Hey, what's up, Christian Bridges? History is a little weird. A little queer is one way of saying it. Maybe not that queer, but is it racist to say I hate robots? No bullbot hate, folks. Johnny Black, what's up? Everything will become a technocracy. Not if the libertarians have their way, folks. And maybe not anyways. What do you mean by technocracy? I'm curious. Johnny Black, can you explain technocracy to your friend Duck, your new friend Duck? Good to meet you. Pac, do you want to? I'm just gonna do this too because whatever. I don't remember. Maybe Pac Fresh is a really mean person or something. I don't know if he's still here. He, she, they. I don't know if you're still here, but I just made you a moderator too. Guys, let's not turn this into a sausage fest either. I just want to remind folks that while we're talking about things like gay marriage, while we're talking about like stuff like whatever it is, it's gay marriage or whatever. There's also opinions that the core political substance isn't economic and financial accountability, and it's not limiting the scope of congressional discussions. That there's actually a very physical, real, tangible social structure and social organization that underlies the United States and any government. And so when you ask what libertarian philosophy stands on, when you ask what does Rand Paul and Ron Paul, what do they really believe? When we have to create 15 different interpretations for these guys, or maybe alternatively, it's really simple to interpret what they say. They say what they're going to do, and they'll do it when they can do it, and that's it. It's that simple. And some people would say, well, that the reason that's right is because it's because the social organization itself is the thing that decides what it's going to do. The social organization itself is what decides what it's going to do. Hey, what up, Goon Squad? I'll put that message through, but we're going to try to, the YouTube auto moderator Goon will block some of those messages. But where's your head at, my friend, Mr. Goon? Where's your head at, my friend? Let's go, baby. Let's go. Yeah. And so no libertarian sausage fest. There's a reason to argue that, well, having this consistent position that forces accountability and reconciliation, and it prevents, maybe it would push back on more junior members of Congress. It would push back on worse legislation. It would push back on hastily or not considered or not worked on ideas, which are about government spending or about radical social policy. And so libertarianism and libertarians like Rand Paul, even if you dislike them, even if you think Rand Paul he's not an ally, he's maybe slightly homophobic from time to time. Dad was all right. Dad was definitely all right. Like a super chill dude in a lot of ways. Dad was kind of chill. Dad didn't have to do double speak with the Christian nationalists if you're a gay person, and that's the policy issue that we're discussing right now. So if you're a gay person and you're kind of assessing this, you might say, well, look, these people are actually stabilizing and essential for a discussion about civil rights, The reason that is because, the reason that is just because, people like Andrew Wilson would say, well, it's because it can be. I don't agree with that, but no offense. Forced doctrine. No, but when we're looking about the ability of people to shape their lives around each other and for us to understand that and stuff like that, and this just being a liberal value because it's an individual value, whatever. What's up, One Big Pond? Yeah, feel free to share strong opinions. I see y'all in chat. Sizzle Moon Song bringing a little bit of that progressive, that very center progressive attitude. We out here, fam. We are way out here, fam. Let's go. I love seeing folks supporting others. Just, I'll say this real quick. I don't care if y'all are a little more conservative or MAGA, MAVA, we're going to make America vegan again. We're just messing around a little bit, but no, it's cool. I had tons of friends in high school who opposed gay marriage. I went to Catholic school for 2 years, so there's obviously social conservatives in that environment. But someone like Rand Paul might say, well, look, here, I'm going to take my personal human value. And say, I want government, a small government, and financial advocates, people that understand this weird libertarian bucket of stuff. I want them to feel hopeful or optimistic or slightly supported. I don't want them to turn on CNN and feel like they have no representation at any time. And so that's even people on the left who have been maybe slower to push into issues like trans rights or trans constitutional rights, building a little insulation as well as a little attitude and go get it sort of stuff around trans healthcare. People that have been slow or maybe didn't totally like as much as you would need to understand to actually go do that, right? But um, you know, same kind of idea applies. You want to provide a little optimism and that kind of stuff. Yeah, Goon, that would be whatever, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. Do I want to debate trumpets or Trumpers? No. Yeah, if you have an opinion about Donald Trump or whatever, something about POTUS, Beto Parades is in the chat. What's up, everybody? Good to see you. Good to see you. Both parties have fallen apart. That's crazy. That's really crazy. Sorry. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. There was just a cool stream today. If anyone's super into internet politics, I watched for about 15, 20 minutes, but not so erudite. Kayla, she's awesome. She's been growing like crazy. She joined Wick TV, The Soy Pill, and Stephen Bonnell Destiny. And who else? There's one other dude who I didn't know, so no offense. I'm not trying to leave someone out, but yeah, not so erudite, Wick, Soy, and Destiny were all talking today. That was very sick. Very cool. Cool conversation. There's I don't know what the point of it is, like Heal America or Make America Back to what it was like before sort of event going on. So whether you're Republican or Democrat, it's cool. I'm not going to say bad things on the internet. I love seeing people who I generally agree with succeed. That's my favorite thing. But I also just love, to Goon, I also just love talking about mainstream and sort of fringe political ideas. I want Donald Trump to be successful as a president, if I can be completely honest. Yeah, hardship makes the best of friends, the worst of enemies. Let's start with that one. If anyone thinks they deserve greater rights than others based on gender or sexuality, they are a bigot and hateful piece of trash and are on the wrong side of history. I don't know why Sizzle Moon Song, that was totally appropriate, but yeah. YouTube blocked it. Duck, are you vegan? Yeah, bro, I'm totally vegan. Totally plant-based, folks. Bam. Here, I'm going to post you my diet plan. Bam. Bam, baby. We are out here, folks. We are out here, fam. Just that little ada, ada, ada. Ada, ada, ada. Nah. Maybe start with intersex rights. Check out Malta's legislation on that. This could build a bridge across political groups. Yeah, that would be very interesting. It's always cool to see those big, tall levers that people make and then understand your own political reality. This is often how we hear guys like Andrew Bustamante talk about not everything. He's his own he's his own person, but we see Malta in there's actually a lot of very progressive politics across the Atlantic Ocean. There's different like social approaches to both medicine as well as education and society on the other side, right? On the other side. And so when we're looking at what's best for the United States, it's not about like ignoring research, but it's about making it fit the United States use case. It's about understanding if there is anything applicable or that crosses over. So yeah, so that's just all cool. Johnny gets it. Let's go, baby. Johnny Black gets it. Both parties have fallen apart. MAGA, says someone. Christian Bridges is smashing it with those emojis. I see a Statue of Liberty and a palm tree. That's pretty cool. Soybean oil is the devil. Verbal Combat. Yeah, I've been on, hey Goon, I've been with Speak before. Yeah, I've been on Verbal Combat a couple times. I did pretty well one time. One time I won like 2 or 3 of the debates. And I got a debate on Sarah's channel coming up sometime soon, I think. I don't know. Someone messaged me about debating on Sarah's channel, so yeah. I don't know if I know you, if we've spoken before on panel or whatever. Cool, good to see you, Goon, and all that stuff. Yeah, I'm aware, totally aware. If anybody here is not aware of the Panelverse and the blood sport debate sphere, if you guys want to join my Discord, we can talk about it, all about it. And yeah, there's some Sarah the Raging Tomatoes, really cool person. She's put together a great show. So this is other stuff happening on YouTube. Yeah. Speakeasy Verbal Combat. Him and a couple other guys run debate shows that are open panels. So you can go on. People will pay the host for you to debate on their show. And anyways, they just kind of, it's a fun time. Even if no one's doing super chats and stuff like that, they'll also, the show keeps moving along. A lot of respect for the people investing all that time and stuff in there. But yeah, just for transparency and stuff too. Yeah, I'm not like best friends, but I want to support some of those folks in that side of the internet. I like guys like Rob Knorr. I like Jim Bob. I've been on Jim Bob's show once or twice, whatever. He does open panels. I've been on with Wi-Fi Gospel and a couple other of the apologists. I mod on Breakfast Taco show. I was on there again. So YouTube stuff. I don't know if you guys are interested in YouTube stuff. If I saw it, I just figured I would address it, bro, just so we're on the same page. And yeah, whatever. All right, good message, Goon. Tell him to remember New York, coast to coast, Beto Parades. Whoops. Oh, Alexander Brown is a veteran, it sounds like. Very cool. I don't know if that's what that's saying. So cool. Destiny orbiters regurgitate. Okay, cool. That Goon, just so you know, that like hurts my brain to read. Goon says, so this message says the problem with Destiny orbiters is they just all regurgitate Destiny, but worse. That like that's not based. It's somebody's based, but that's not based in internet terms. I don't know what the fuck that means, my friend. What the fuck does that mean? You rat fuck motherfucker. You better tell me what that means. No, I mean, I'm not trying to say that, but that's literal gibberish. Cletus Clump. Why do you look like one of the robbers on Home Alone? That's funny as hell. That's funny as hell. Hey, see you, Pagan Prince. Good to see you. Thanks for taking on the wrench. And yeah, see you sometime again or whatever, hopefully. Yeah. Look, we got some high achievers in here. We got people motivated to grow their own veggies, all this kind of stuff. Breakfast throws you too much shade. Oh, you're a friend of Breakfast Tacos too. Very cool. Yeah, I'd love to see you up on. He's been doing some StreamYard open panels. I'd love to personally be in the audience and watch you do that kind of stuff. Would be very cool. Yeah. My brain is like half off. I don't know why, but I'd love to do more physics stuff sometime soon. I don't know how or why I would do that, but I would like to do that kind of stuff for sure. It's so interesting. Yeah, like total white pill stuff, whatever it is. White pill or like natural, like hunter green pill. Is that such a thing? Yeah. Maybe we can go back to cart and horse and talk about Machiavelli or something. I don't know what that ducks call Christian, yes or no? Wait, Christian says doggy feet and painting. Doug. It's all good. We're not that busy here or anything like that. That's not terms of service or against channel rules. It seems to be different every time. So Yeah, no, yeah, definitely not. That's cool. I don't care. Yeah, yeah, can't read mountain art. Yeah, everybody in chat, anybody in chat, we're just hanging out, chilling. But if we talk about something and you need a quick brain reset to say something different than what you were thinking about saying, just go do that instead. Thank you. No offense. Just yeah, whatever. If you don't like immigrants, check your ancestry and go back home, wherever your people came from. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know where people would go. We'd all be back in Africa, the out of Africa hypothesis. But that sounds actually way more racist to me. If you then say like, yeah, if you don't like immigrants, then if you're anti-migrant, you're the racist, so go back to where you came from. Then what you're actually telling people to do is go back to Africa, which is racist in the first place. So let's just watch let's be a little careful. I don't know if you intended to say something racist or you intended to be a racist in that case. But I don't want to have to start handing out permanent bans, and I don't want to have to hide people on the channel. I don't want to have to do any of that stuff. So just if you're leaving long limerickle and other cues which are resolved by well-known racist sayings, then yeah, no cryptography in chat, guys. Machiavellian nihilism. Yeah. Machiavellian nihilism that sounds cool. That sounds very cool. It's sort of adeptness, but what is it an adeptness to? This is like a Buddhist way of very big concept, but if you want to try and place this, it's kind of like a game or whatever. So, if I'm reading Machiavelli correctly, what I have to then be able to go do is understand the tides and fortunes of the universe. I have to understand the tides and fortunes of the universe and the predispositions and biases of men to some extent. And I have to understand my own privileged position relative to theirs. And I have to be able to act adeptly into all of this, and still for no reason. Yeah. Yeah. And so, so sort of the hands and heart of, if we think of just hands and heart, very simply, what Machiavelli has to approach and sort of gently ask us to control with our intellect, and then that which somehow you achieve as a leader. The nihilism is almost saying, well, a leader's social role, their society, that doesn't exist. It's very poor and weak. It's very broke. Maybe there's a short passage somewhere in Machiavelli or something that's like that. You're trying to turn the frogs into ducks, and the ducks are trying to turn into frogs, and then you got the micro and in vivo evolution, and really what the in vivo adaptation is actually frog duck evolution. You got duck frog evolution, folks. All right. Nobody likes duck frog evolution. Let's go. All right. Let's go. Let's go. I'm gonna have to drag Sarah the Raging Tomato into one of these streams one day. Maybe she'd guest mod with you guys, with Packfresh and anybody else that's here. Bob or Alicia or Ampersand or anyone else comes in. We'll have to have Sarah the Raging Tomato guest mod one day. We'll ask a favor. Yeah, so. Yeah, if anybody's got theist arguments, we can talk about the theism that would have to exist, and for maybe Machiavelli needs like a strict religious interpretation to some extent. Maybe you'd have to that sense of nihilism where the leadership role doesn't matter. It's actually the function methodology as well as the assessment of outcomes, right? So you have the psychology and, whatever it is, and without too much ado or too much whatever, you have all these really strong things, and and this results in like almost like a weird, whatever you'd call it, a nothingness, a collision, clashing, sensing, all that good stuff. Yeah, are you guys anime fans at all? Do you guys like anime? Yeah, I watched The Last Airbender, both in college as well as when I was older. That was the only show I watched. I just liked Aang. I saw myself in Aang as almost this, not in Aang's moments of learning and his like almost silent internalizing of stuff alongside his friends. Because whoever it is, and I loved Appa. I loved whatever. But yeah, I saw myself in Aang. I like that almost, not the nihilism of it, but this sort of, well, it's just a reluctance that it's like, oh, well, this is how I do what I know I can do. And so therefore now what I do is not related to that at all. It's not the thing that I'm doing. I loved The Last Airbender. I loved that show. I thought they did really well to sort of mix in a lot of drama without a lot of emotional weight for the audience. It was done really well. And yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's a little too soft and a little too kiddish for me to watch now. Because I'm 35, right? I'm not some kind of like, not B.A. Baracus from, the old shows and stuff like that, guys. Some of my older folks, not older folks, but, whatever, yeah. Some of my audience that saw Nancy Pelosi get elected the first time, I like those enjoyable sort of laid back shows. You're not going to like hearing this, but they're a little bit of fun. They're a little bit of fun. They're easy to watch when you have some popcorn, and you're not going to be able to get that upset about it when, it's just you want the plot line and the characters develop, and it never really gets wherever you wanted it to, because it's a show meant for young adults and whatever. So, that's what The Last Airbender is. That's the only one I know, right? I felt left behind when, a lot of the internet was kind of like chilling out on a lot of anime, a lot of game lore. Poor me. I wasn't, following all that stuff so much, but yeah, it's what it was. Yeah. Yeah. I like the way that sounds. Oh my God, my stomach is growling. I had a big old peanut butter and jelly sandwich with raspberry jam before starting the stream. That was very yummy. That was very good. Yeah, and then, yeah, earlier today I got lunch with my family. My family got pizza, cookies, and stuff like that, and I got a side of spinach. So I'm that kind of guy. I'm that cowboy. I'm that whatever. I'm that B.A. Baracus. So yeah, family eating pizza cookie with ice cream on top, and then it was me, your buddy Duck, introducing himself as the guy who just orders a side of spinach at a restaurant. Let's go, baby. Let's go work on that content, baby. Do I have my Discord open? Just in case, any of you guys in the US or anywhere on stream, anybody here working professional, do you guys want to sit here and listen if I read something from my that I posted on the Discord channel earlier today? Hey Igor, yeah, I'm completely plant-based. I love not being controlled by diet. It's taken me a long time to get here, but also I know a lot of people see it other ways. Yeah, that's completely right, guys. You know, if Donald Trump was here, Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein was, you know, if we could get maybe like Eric Trump or someone in the chat room, guys, I do believe that would be one of the opportunities. Hey, what's up, One Big Pond? I don't know if you're still here, but I just see you dropped into the Discord, so good to see you. Yeah, if we could get Donald Trump or Eric Trump here, maybe we could clear up this whole Epstein mess, everyone. Family, folks who know how I feel that the Epstein case is unimportant. If we could get, maybe Melania Trump could help us clear this up. She could testify that she personally knew Donald had expedited a banning of Jeffrey Epstein way back in whatever that year was, right? 2007. This was before the sealed indictment was released. Now, what I would almost guarantee you is that libertarians and people on the soft right, like Tim Pool and like Dave Smith, want to talk the baddest talk there is. I almost guarantee you. Hey, good to see you like here as well, right? One Big Pond, that's awesome. Yeah, there's a couple Discords I use daily, hop into VCs, that kind of stuff. And so I figured having a place or whatever in case, just whatever. Maybe it's a waste of space and time actually. But yeah, seriously, guys like Tim Pool, guys like Dave Smith, you know, they're going to want to talk for the reason I'm targeting them is because they're going to want to be able to step out of their little libertarian bubble. They're going to want to tell everyone what they think, what they feel. They're going to want to lay out the clearest case possible that Donald Trump is a president that supported fascism, and he's still better than Kamala Harris for whatever reason, some reason that they can't elucidate, not quite right now. And they're going to want to bring up the fact that that public intellectuals as well as political leaders like Nancy Pelosi and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez are out in public and they're fighting a fight for progressive values. Now, you guys know the birth show isn't Tim Pool bought out by Russia. That sounds like a conspiracy theory. Yeah, Tim Pool's probably a nice guy. He's probably personally a nice guy, but I don't know if he's actually a nice guy. I don't know. But yeah, anyways, the thing about Pelosi and AOC is you see people pushing back about foundational values for human Americans. You see people pushing against things like the social organization. You see gender neutral, rational, reasonable, and commonsensical and almost undeniable truths about American society. And then it surprises you when that same society acts out by these very bold leaders stepping out on stage and making a point that our political system is responsive to deliberation. And if you want to view yourself as above the system, if you want to view yourself as beyond reproach, you will find out that someone to make a point will make that point. How is that complicated? How is this radical leftism? How is this any of the labels that you want to prescribe to what is in fact your own approach to naivety and very much like underhandedness? I don't understand it totally. It's called fanaticism. Yeah. And I would love to see someone like Dave Smith step up and say, you know, I didn't understand Kamala's platform. I didn't understand Donald Trump's platform. I thought we were having a good time and I thought we were going to have a chance to talk for real. And it was just the case that like every other libertarian who's competing with 380 million other Americans, as well as people around the world, I thought it was this year. I thought it was this quarter. I thought it was going to be every day. And it turns out it was not. And they'll say this is fascism. And it's like, well, indeed you have a show, but you have a show where you literally haven't said a single true thing on any episode ever. Day in and day out, all you do is repeat things that are wrong or only sort of right. And all you do is you cut through and cut through and cut through whatever those attention-seeking and comfortable and pseudo-intellectual drives of your audience might be. And you play to the lowest or mid common denominator. And no offense to anyone on this channel, any subscribers of Ducks Y, who sit and try and learn and educate yourself and believe that these people are curating the best guests, and because they have the largest audiences, they're also therefore destined to be more successful. They're destined to help you be more successful, and that's just not how it works. Hey, what's up, Ralph Perry? The auto mod Kristen Bridges. Yeah. If you're having fun, but why don't you use the actual Google emojis or whatever, or just chill? Yeah, I don't know what all this stuff is. So, anyways, that's my point. Is between Rand Paul and Ron Paul, you have half of the male libertarian position. You have at least a very vocal representation of this issue that individual liberty and reason is the force that demands government be small, and government consistently tells you why it's going to be small. You don't necessarily have this mechanism or lever that both acts as well as tells you why people believe it. Do you guys understand that? Do you understand what I mean? Do I understand what I mean? Did I get that one right? We don't have to have it be the case that our actions are also not explaining. And this isn't about competition. This isn't about I win, you lose, you then understand. Goon, no to what? No to what? Tell me what we're arguing or debating. I don't know what no means. Yeah, listen to your moderators, folks. Hit the like and subscribe if you guys want to stick around for a bit. Yeah, I've heard something about Tim Pool with Russian funding, but John Kiriakou was another guy, former CIA whistleblower, very famously doing a lot of different things. But he's a guy that served his country, got in trouble for revealing the torture program. I believe he did also have a contract with a Russian news agency because it's a Russian company. So you can tell me if you have more information about that. I put that in the bucket as there has to be some big, long, secret Epstein client list with tangible evidence that Jeffrey Epstein solicited illicit human trafficking products and prostitution to wealthy people. So, yeah. Let's see. What is this? Oh, whoops. Oh. I don't know if anyone here knows Raysuka. She's cool. She's an OnlyFans. I think she's an OnlyFans creator, but mostly she's a PhD. She's a paleontologist. But I just followed her on YouTube. It just bugs me because I'm an old person. I use YouTube more than I use Twitch or TikTok. And so I just don't like when I follow people and then it's like, oh, well, you barely ever go live on YouTube. I was going to end this stream and go watch someone else's content. Hey, Derek. Nice to see you again, Doug. Hey, Derek, good to see you. Good to see you. That's a cool little PFP you got there. Let's go get some quacks in the chat, baby. Quack, quack, quack. Let me see. Do I know how to do that? Let's send some nerd messages, guys. Nerdcore stuff, everybody. Oh, yeah. Sorry, Goon. We'll do something. I don't know what else to say. Very productive. Ha ha ha. Packfresh is getting promoted, folks. I don't know what you're getting promoted to, but here. Blam, blam, blam. This is how we show recognition, folks. Do you guys know about showing recognition? Anyone in the US or anyone career-minded who's heard about like rewards and recognition programs at work, in the workplace? How about I don't keep all of y'all all of forever tonight. And if anybody wants to hang out for one quick thing I will read from the career section on our Discord paper, on our Discord channel. If you guys want to hit like, subscribe, the Discord link's in the description. You don't need to join now, but if you want to join, you are more than welcome to. And yeah, if you guys want to think about rewards and recognition or whatever it is, I'll read a quick Discord story for the career folks, for folks working. Hey, what's up? Oh, Queensland, Australia. Cool. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, and so I worked in tech for about 10 years. I had a decent career. Nothing special, but I was passionate about it, and I'm passionate about sharing practical lessons. I worked a lot in 10 years, is what I would tell people. What I'm very proud of is I worked a lot in 10 years. I had a lot of progressive responsibility, so all that kind of stuff. And yeah, so I'm going to my favorite NBA team, the Chicago Bulls. That's why Mike's behind me, dude. Yeah, that's what. So the Chicago Bulls, and I like the Lakers as well. I've got a lot of Shaq basketball cards. I have a couple Kobe's in my old cards that I collected as a kid. I liked collecting Kobe. Due process for legal citizens. Do you ever do call-ins? Yeah, Goon, I'm probably going to set up, I don't know how into the stream universe you are, but I'm probably going to set up a little restream. I've got a couple people that I might want to do a show with. Have some, yeah, just have the link in case anyone wants to come up. But I've got a few people that I'd want to do shows with and all this other stuff. So, but yeah, I might buy Restream. I like StreamYard as well. StreamYard's nice, but I like Restream because it has both mobile and PC formats. It's also very user-friendly. It's very simple. I like that it has like one-click sort of different screen layouts, which StreamYard does as well, but I like the way Restream does it for whatever reason. And I like the monitoring and the chat functionality on Restream a little bit better. So Trump tariffs on Brazil will help with de-dollarize among BRICS nations, says Nobel Prize economists. Yeah, cool. Andre, I think I remember. I think you've been on a stream before, so good to see you. I don't know if you speak Portuguese. I had a girlfriend very, very long time ago who was Brazilian, so her and her mother both spoke Portuguese. But yeah. Yeah, but if you guys wanted to hear there's a thread, a tab on our Discord. I'll just show you this real quick in case anyone wants to see or you can see. So, whoops, just to give you an idea, this is the text post I'm going to read. I'm going to read this text post so you guys know what to expect, so you know what to see, so you kind of have the brain space and capacity for what we're doing. If anyone has a white collar or blue collar job, this is whatever. Respect to all of you. This is one of my work experiences, and it's not that crazy long. It's about 3 or 4 complete sentences. So we'll do this and then we'll call it a stream. If anybody needs or wants anything else, wants to talk about that, let's go get those duck calls in chat. Quack, 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 Black Panther and all that stuff. Dab on them, folks. We going international with this, so. All right, so you guys see the microphone? Can you guys see the neon green on the microphone right there? All right. So this says, short lesson from tech. Short lesson from tech. I was working as a mid-senior manager at a small technology company. I was technically listed as an executive with ownership of an entire business line. I led a critical project to transition a project management system for customer onboarding. It would be a tool used and referenced by our whole team, ranging from customer support, service, and account managers. So this is for a project management tool. The project worked well. We improved metrics and efficiency and had more transparency. Two or more workflows and processes stopped crossing over into one another. However, we still felt like we were struggling or barely making it. It turned out our organization needed the business to grow or needed to be more fluid and standardized around best practices elsewhere. I missed this, as we all did, so I messed up. We did well, and then it also wasn't perfect. Sometimes small problems are the hardest to solve. This is the lesson I learned. This is the name of the thread on the Discord. The name of the channel is called Lessons Learned. So if you guys have lessons on social media or professional stuff and you want to type them up into short story, short paragraph form, you can join the Discord and do this. This is my lesson learned. So I missed that we could have done better. Everyone did. Sometimes small problems are the hardest to solve. Other times it takes being bold enough to elevate the team, even if that's not counted as an opportunity or a quick fix for something. But this also puts customers last, which you don't ever actually get back. Ask me anything. Yeah, I think we're omnivores because stuff like peanuts. Yeah, I think like peanuts and like some of these dried plant proteins, as well as, simple meat products are like they're like little little nicotine packs or something. They're like something like that. So that was my short, whatever it's called. Yeah, whatever. You got your hands dirty for a living. You're a girly man. I got an idea for you, Mr. Frankenstein. I don't know. Should I just kick your ass off the fucking thing? I don't know if that was a joke. What? What did you want to say? You're calling me a girly. So I respond to you when you call me a girly man. For what reason do I do that? And do I respond? So you want to sit on your computer like a loser. You want to so you on the internet want to yell at people that are doing the same thing as everyone else and not contribute to a solution. Because what do you want me to tell you? Do you want me to tell you I shoveled rocks in high school? Have you shoveled rocks? I can tell you I worked at restaurants since I was 15 and a half, since I was allowed to work, or 16, whatever it was. What else do I have to tell you to earn your approval, oh hallowed of the consumers of our country? Like you have it super hard. I don't give a fuck where you are. How about this? I got an idea. Yeah, how about Dr. Victor Frankenstein? I've seen you before, but how about you just permanently get the fuck off my channel? There you go, buddy. Go find a different YouTuber. Is that actually gone? Here, there we go. Adios. Bye. Thank you. Try again. Try again tomorrow. You can join the Discord. Bye. I want to have a bad attitude. I had life harder, or I'm tougher than everyone else. Is that what I said? Is that what I sound like, guys? Who knows? Maybe next time we'll have a conversation about it. But you're going to spam and spam again. You want to double down just like Donald Trump, just like your favorite influencer. Well, if you guys do that, you're off the fucking channel. How about that, right? Is that winning? No, that's just what happened. I didn't plan on that happening, but that is what happened. Thank you, Derek. See, that's the kind of positive support that I want to get to. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, I feel bad. I've seen Bro. I think I've seen him on the channel and stuff before. I like talking to people. Hey, Goon. I don't know who you actually are. I don't know if I know you. I don't know if I don't know you, but you're going to come on here and ask me to beg to go on other channels, so I'll just hide you. And how about even this, just so we're not wasting each other's time, how about you get the fuck off the channel as well? You want to tell me that I can go beg and crawl to go to places on the internet that I already know, so I sound familiar, so I sound like the people you know about? Cool, great stream, guys. We're at 2 hours and 5 minutes. How are you guys doing? I hope you're doing good. Good. Hope you guys are finding optimism. Hogwasher64, let's go. Chickster. I don't know what Chickster is. Connor, we got some drama. Yeah, we got some drama. Nothing. It's just, if I'm going to preface and tell people what we're doing and you don't want to be here, you can whatever. Don't be negative, complain, not good, bad, if you want to whatever. Like I'm supposed to, yeah. No, these people who think they're superior to other people. Zawul Youssef, what's going on? Good to see you. No. Whatever, we're done. It's just so stupid. Do I like guinea pigs? Yeah, I love all animals. Guinea pigs, hamsters, those kinds of little. They're not. Yeah, they're little. They're rodents. But yeah, they're very nice. They're very social, I think. My good friend, one of my roommates in college, he had a pet rodent named Freddie, and I think he had another one later named Soren, if I remember, after the existentialists. He's a great philosopher. He's an actual academic philosopher. So, yeah, no, but I saw him. He watched one of my online debates the other day. Yeah, I texted. Yeah, so, but yeah, yeah, someone texted him the link to the debate, and I saw him. We hadn't talked in about a year. We hadn't talked philosophy in probably like 5 years. And it was just like, whoa, like I could just tell like this guy that I knew that I grew up with is so freaking smart, dude. It's pretty cool, and compassionate too, right? Hardworking and compassionate. It's a hard to beat combination. So all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend if you're taking like acetaminophen and stuff like that. I would say talk to a doctor, whatever. When you're younger, a lot of times people will say pain equals growth. You have to hurt for it to get stronger. And you're doing athletic training, right? So you're kind of following your coaches and your athletic trainers and your strength coaches' plans and stuff like that. And so, yeah. Yeah. If you're going to be, and Connor, if you're going to be, for younger folks working out, if you are eating 4,000 plus, if you're eating 3,000, 4,000 calories a day, whatever the number is, and you want those calories to go someplace they're supposed to go, you want to become better at recovering, you have to work out hard. I don't think there's a way around that. The simple answer, the old Tom Platz, Arnold Schwarzenegger strategy is just do full body workouts, but you're not doing that. You're doing football. So, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard because I think there's always a reason why people who are really knowledgeable can or can't really have the type of conversation everyone wants at that time. Like it's very, very, in my experience, very rarely because like someone who has an academic background or a scholastic background doesn't know or can't share what they want to say. It's often because someone else can't communicate at that level, or isn't really curious, isn't like authentically willing to work in the conversation towards something that's not just like off the cuff remarks. That was my own problem, was that like, yeah, I have my intuitions and those are very strong intuitions. I also have the topics that I've studied, the topics where I'd consider myself well read, even if I wasn't actually that educated and stuff. And yeah, but my personal opinion, just so you guys know, my personal belief is that there's almost no one who, like, I respect people who don't have time to study, lift weights, run, pick up an art or an instrument. I respect it because that was me. I've also seen that if you say like, look, I'm gonna have my goddamn laptop out while I'm watching Netflix, or I'm going to put on a show that I don't actually care about, and I'm gonna spend an hour, 30 minutes reading, 30 minutes writing. It's not because of Stoicism. It's not because of Marcus Aurelius. It's because there's this interesting topic. And so I'm going to read a couple lines and then I'm going to write. And if I'm not correct in the way that I'm writing and thinking, I'm going to go back and reintegrate that stuff. So do you feel like we live in a dystopian time like the movie Idiocracy? No, I don't. No, I think that's defeatist to say that we live in idiocracy. It's inaccurate. It's not accurate, so. Let's see those duck calls. Yeah, let's get everybody in here. No, but yeah, that was fun, guys. We're at 2 hours and 11 minutes total. We covered at least one libertarian. We covered the Paul family, Rand and Ron Paul, and we drew some comparisons to famous libertarians like Lewis Black and Penn Teller, who are libertarian, maybe sometimes on the progressive, very strict social, like philosophical, but they might understand what some Democrats say about topics better than others. Maybe not, but maybe. Who knows? As well as folks like not like Dave Smith and whatever. So that was kind of fun. Yeah, thank you, Pac. Yeah, you too. You too. Yeah. And so yeah, so that was cool. Fun stream, everybody. If anybody here is not a subscriber and you want to subscribe, it'd be cool to see y'all again. Who knows? Yeah, this was a fun stream. Probably not doing these every night, but we could probably do Zoran Mamdani or something tomorrow or something. Crawl through his platform, where he came from, what he's working on, who's kind of like him in the social space. Yeah, it's like that's always funny. Is the best social comparison I'd have like the Young Turks or something, like whatever his name is, Cenk Uygur, is the best comparison I'd have, like half of Destiny, half of Stephen Bonnell's brain. I don't think so. Yeah. So you were lucky to have English as a first language. Yeah, thank you. You guys should check out, anyone who is interested in social media and YouTube, check out CapCut. I'll leave this here. It's interesting, at least. The last video, I'm not telling you to go like watch my video, but Zayoe Youssef, sorry if I'm saying your name wrong, but yeah, this is a free online editing tool. It's sort of free. There's a little watermark, but you can get rid of it. And there's a little watermark as well, so both. But I did a video yesterday and it automatically added captions, including emojis. And so I thought it was very cool that that I could see, like I say, I have an idea and there's like a little light bulb and stuff. So, English. Yeah, it's always good to have everybody and all that stuff. So, Israel Adam, shalom. Shalom. Alaikum salam. Peace to everybody. And I think, in the words of Christopher Hitchens, the great Brit, if I was a fish, I would drown in whiskey, and otherwise I'm just going to fuck off. Have a good night. Join the Discord. Join the Discord, folks. It's in the description. Let's go. Subscribe to the channel. I'm closing the stream. Don't worry about it. Thank you, everyone.